Simone from Frap Tools, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Sharply dressed man. Superbooth 2019, of course. There's no escaping a circle sequencer, I think. Tell us about it. 4-track sequencer, new for Superbooth, right?
Yes. So we have this, 4-track sequencer with 2 control voltages and 2 gates per each track, and we wanted also with this circular shape to be able to create patterns that are not linked to the classical 16-step sequencer, the grid.
Yeah, so less linear.
Exactly. If you want it to be less linear, you have the chance to do that for 2 things. The tracks can run independently to the other, so each one can have its own clock, its own reset mode.
So polymetric patterns are really easy to get.
Yes, you can chain patterns. You can chain different patterns. Like we can have on one track a loop of 4 patterns, on the second of only 1 with a different length. And with a different clock source. And also the other thing is that we have this, for the polymetric, we have this layer here, which is the length. So what we achieve in there is that instead of, since the physical control on an hardware device, on a module are limited, we didn't want it to waste controls over when you have to tie multiple stages. So you can see each stage, each control as a node, as an event where you apply a length that sometimes are needed when arranging something.
Yeah, so it's all totally event based as opposed to just that linear step.
Yeah, exactly. So this can lead to different metrics. You can have patterns that last from 1 to 256, let's say, clock pulses. Okay. In a way, and you can also change multiple patterns. Like in here, we can do, for example, we can clone the pattern 1 to the second, third, and 4. So now we will loop them up to 4 here. So as soon as the pattern finishes, we can go on another one and maybe say that this one is 1 octave higher. The fourth one, maybe it is 2 octave high, like that, but it keeps the same, the same structure. You can use external modulation to variate your pattern and to generate other patterns from that.
It's very quick for getting more longer musical patterns.
Yes, and you have a reference of a visual reference of what is happening, where the sequencer is playing, and the relationship between the steps while you're editing them, which is we thought it would have been something useful, while performing.
Yeah, of course. So what can these 2 CVs and 2 gate outputs be? I guess quantized pitch, unquantized pitch.
Yeah, we have 2 modes that you access from the. So we have this track menu here, which is not needed for the performing, but only for the let's say. Only for setting how the track should behave, its behavior. So here we can set that the CVA, the mode for it. So by default it is pitch. It can be row voltages. So yeah, by default CVA is in pitch and CVB is in row voltage. If I edit this, we can see that here we have this the volt visualization. You can edit it down to millivolts. And while on the other layer we can edit the node directly. There is also an option, because some guys tune its oscillator in with a reference of A, some other with a reference of C.
Yes.
So we can choose which is the 0 volt reference for you, and then it will update your thing while composing.
That's a big thing for making just musical tuning faster and more efficient.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So apart from that, you can then choose per each independent output via software if it's unipolar or bipolar. You have a selection here, so we can now shift it like down, and now we won't hear anything because we are lower than audio rate. So yeah, you can have seven outputs that run at 0, 10, and one output that run bipolar, you know, if you need it in case. You can use the one track, maybe there is one track that you're not using. You can connect an external control voltage, select a scale, and use it as a quantizer.
Okay.
So, and yes, other thing is that there is probability of a small variation that you can apply for some stages. So on this layer, the green one of the CV, we can select the probability that the step may evaluate a variation, and you can set on the blue layer a variation amount. Every time it passes through the stage, it evaluates that new possibility, and you can store the result, like we did now, directly in the pattern. So we can use these small variation rules to generate other stuff based on the content we already composed.
It's very musical. When random has a chance that it will happen and a range within it happening, rather than just, you know, free running random full range sample and hold or something. I think it's very musical, and the option to save it when you capture those musical moments really kind of elevates it.
We, I can say also that on the 2-gate layer we unified the gate thing and the ratchet thing. So you don't have this on-off gate, you know. You just select the number of events that happens during the stage. So let's switch back to one single loop. So the first one, yes, and here, let's bring up the pitch a little bit. We can find out that selecting 2, we can obtain 2 trig events inside of the same stage without changing the length. So this results in more, you know, as much as you increase the gate number, you have a bigger subdivision, and so on. And you can also variate this one. So both control voltages and gates can be variated according to your need, where you need it.
And of course you could patch that back. You could use an unused channel to influence the ratcheting or the rhythmic element of another channel.
Yes. You can also do like a self-patch it to modulate other stuff. So there is also another thing which is we find it quite useful. So if we patch, for example, we have the CV modulation allows multiple targets. So each track has its own like 2 pitch shifting for the channel A and channel B. There are 2 gate shifting for the channel A and channel B. There is the variation shifting, so which will be the range for the variation that you enable. And there is this stage shifting thing. Stage shifting allows you to keep the metric you define in the length layer, but we can get, for example, let's get a sample and hold and patch it to the CVA, and we say that the CVA is the source. We can see that the playhead is going linearly still because it's maintaining the metrics, but from the CV layer is picking up different voltages from the one you already choose in your pattern. So you have this more random approach. It is like mixing things, keeping the metric you decided.
Yeah. So it's only going to give you defined notes, patterns, musical information you want, without just randomly firing through a whole scale in a quantizer or something like that.
Exactly.
So it looks like a fairly simple way to get a lot of power and musicality into a Eurorack system. Of course, people are going to want to know when it's available and how much it will be.
Yeah, it should be 750 euro. 7,000. And it will be available after the summer. So I will expect late September, beginning of October. So.
Wow, thank you very much.
Thank you for stopping by.